Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to another edition of Musical Talk. I'm Thos and I'm still pondering the best gardening musicals. Obviously the first thing that comes to mind is Flora, the Red Menace by Cameron Ebb from 1965, which featured Liza Minnelli. But actually, perhaps more appropriately and a bit more modern, how about Back to the Fuchsia? Or even Stephen Sondheim's Hode Show. I'll always leaf them wanting more. Gosh. Anyway, putting all that aside, welcome to this latest edition of Musical Talk, episode 890. And we're going to hear the second part of our conversation with Aidan Sussex, Baden Burns and Sarah Burns about their phenomenal show, Potty the Plant. Now, Potty the Plant is a show we've discussed here on Musical Talk before. It first went to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in 2023 and was so good we made it our pick of the Fringe that year. It's subsequently been to the Durham Fringe Festival and then returned to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in 2024, along with a sister show called Fringe! The Musical, which we discussed in some depth last week, and it's coming to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe again in a new venue in 2025. It's going to be at venue 140 called Braeburn at Gilded Balloon at Appleton Tower, just off George Square. And it's going to be at Edinburgh for most of the August run. But before that, it's coming for a week to London at the wonderful, legendary Wiltons Music Hall, the oldest surviving music hall building in the world. And the combination of the chance of seeing Potty the Plant, a show I love, in a venue I adore, that's the Wiltons Music Hall, is incredibly enticing, and I hope it will be for you too. It's on between the 24th and the 28th of June, which is to say that it opens today, which is the day on which this episode of Musical Talk is broadcast, and it's going to run until the 28th of June, which is the Saturday coming up. It's on at 7:30 in the evening. And go to Wiltons Music Hall website to buy tickets. That's wiltons.org.uk. Now, why should I go and see Potty the Plant? Well, I hope I've made it pretty plain that it's a cracking show. However, hopefully today's episode of Musical Talk will also entice you to see the show. And if you don't know what it's about, let me read you the blurb. A charmingly dark, whimsically adult, joyously subversive musical delight, starring our titular character Potty, a singing, talking, tap-dancing potted plant. When mysterious events begin to occur at Little Boo Boo's General Hospital, a ragtag bunch of dysfunctional nurses must pull together to save the day. What could be happening to all the missing children? Will the beautiful Miss Lacey ever find true love? Is there more to the nasty-looking Dr. Acula than meets the eye? Potty the Plant is an hour of side-splitting, earwormy musical fun that begs the audience not to take anything too seriously. And it is an adult comedy musical. So, by now you'll have gathered that's what we're going to be talking about today. So in just a minute we'll hear the second part of that conversation that I held with Aidan, Baden and Sarah about their production of Potty the Plant, which we were talking about in a recording made in last summer's Edinburgh Festival Fringe. But before that, we're going to hear the title song of that wonderful show, and after the interview you'll hear another song again from the score. So I do hope you'll enjoy this conversation about the wonderful Potty the Plant.
It's a beautiful day, and it might be cliche. I feel like everything is gonna be okay. My life's like a dream. I just want to be seen with my leaves looking green. Oh, and lean. The kids are out to play. They chase the clouds away. The sun's come out to say hey.
Hello!
Hello, 'cause I
away.
I feel so excited.
Potty, I'm delighted.
Everything's okay today. Hey, I'm Potty the Plant. Come and take my hand. We'll go on adventures in a faraway land. I am Potty the Plant. I'm not one to be missed. We'll learn to exist, flourish and sun-kissed. I am Potty the Plant. I am Potty the Plant. I am Potty the Plant.
Now, Zach is one of your actors in both shows. He's Ginger Dave the nurse in Potty the Plant.
Absolutely.
But he plays a much more sincere and concerned character, I think. You know, he's sort of the... I'm going to say he's a sort of bag carrier stroke dramaturg for our failing composer. But it's nice to see him stretching... Well, I know he is a proper actor, but it's nice he's got this very different role.
We wanted to flip all of the actors...
into serious to non-serious.
Vice versa.
Yeah. The only way... There were a couple that didn't quite work that way round, just because of the casting and things like that. But for him especially, we wanted to give him, because obviously in Potty the Plant, he gets one small verse into his big number before he gets painfully cut off.
Give him a whole number.
So we really wanted to give him something that would allow him to really stretch vocally and
emotionally, actually.
Yeah, a proper performance. And he's been absolutely knocking it out of the park with his acting on the lines. He's actually made a lot of our lines feel a lot more real than I think they were in our head as well. He's been able to really bring like a good groundedness to it. Yeah, it's been wonderful to watch actually.
Well, he impressed me last year with his comedy chops. I thought he was terribly funny. I still think he is terribly funny, but it was nice to know that there's that he's the full character. So he's an asset to your team. Yeah. So Fringe, what have the audiences been telling you? And this is an open question because you'll all have spotted different things, I have no doubt.
Audiences, in my eyes, have been very, very warm and receptive to it. Actually, it's been a struggle to get them there, but once they're there, they seem to enjoy it quite a lot.
Weirdly enough, all of the user reviews have been. Even on Potty's thing of being like, we saw Fringe the musical, loved that, and now we came to see Potty. We've kind of.
So it does feed into the other. That's good.
Yeah, which we thought it would be the other way round, where people from Potty are coming to see Fringe, which we have had as well.
Had the odd,
But it's very interesting to see people really enjoying Fringe a lot, and obviously we're in such an echo chamber when it comes to reviews, where most people leaving audience reviews are they really either loved it or they absolutely hated it. But we haven't had any negative reviews.
We haven't had anything from audience.
That's very positive. That's very
Sorry, just knocking on wood there. But it's been lovely to actually kind of get people's some really lovely reactions from some of the audience, because I think they really appreciate the humour of it and the just the joy that we're able to bring out of it as well.
But I think if you want to be critical, a lot of people, I know someone who we did another podcast with, he made the point that on which we completely agree with, because we know the faults in it. Is saying that it was it ends way too quickly and it felt like it could have went on longer, and obviously we completely agree, because the whole thing was an exercise in trying to to cram a show that should have been a longer piece into 60 minutes.
Well, I wondered, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but it always felt like it needed somehow to go back to the studio that it starts in as a kind of, it has a framing device at the beginning. To me, it feels like there's a circularity that could be achieved. You haven't got time for that, I see that, absolutely, but just in my own head, I went home afterwards and thought about it.
Maybe we didn't make it clear, but the studio thing
is her daydream.
It didn't happen.
Oh, no, I didn't clock that. Oh,
so,
right,
So
fine.
now what we're going to be able
that's me being an idiot.
No, what we're going to be able to do from that
we did,
is...
communicate that.
Yeah, we're going to be able to take that feedback that isn't quite clear enough, and probably make it.
It was a misdirection, because the start is you think, she's going to tell a story how she became a big Hollywood actor, but that was just a daydream. It was just it was kind of a fake out.
It's a retro device. Almost for her, which isn't true.
And that gets revealed when the one Arthur sings.
She is leading a very different life at the Fringe.
It's what she wants. It's what she idealises. What a lot of us performers who perform think, we know a lot of people who are like, I'm going to make it big at the Fringe. People Waller-Bridge did it, therefore I can. And obviously you get crashed down to reality when you actually
6
perform.
only happens every few years.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So 1 out of 12,000.
So there's always it's the fantasy of every artist, and obviously in the show it doesn't come true.
Oh well, forgive me then. That's really interesting to me because I actually read it, but it was that story.
But obviously,
it was so absurd that it could make.
But we haven't communicated that effectively enough. So maybe that's something we need to address.
Yeah, because as I say, I thought it was going to go the other way, but she is a huge success because here she is on American television being interviewed, and then the story of how she got there is so ridiculously Byzantine and full of chance that actually it sort of couldn't possibly be true. It's like I thought the part in the middle seemed too absurd, and it was that she was exaggerating because she was a success. I assumed the rest of it was an exaggerated flashback, interestingly, rather than that. And funnily enough, I then thought it was going to come back to the studio, and then she was going to introduce various people who were her guests on the show with her, and they were going to be various people that she'd met all the way through.
That could be a very charming way to leave it.
That's a lovely way of doing that.
It's I still.
Well, thank you.
No, I still.
Where shall I put my BAFTA?
Yes, No, I think it's a lovely idea. I think it's one of those things that we will definitely be going away from this year with that idea in mind, but also with the idea of like how we wanted it to go and kind of think. Actually, how are we going to be able to portray that more clearly? Because it always feels like one of those moments that it should be a relatively big revelatory moment, but we just can't quite work out how to get it across.
I think we didn't want her to have a full-on happy ending and a full-on sad. We wanted something in between, something realistic,
real life.
Because you don't know if their show's going to do well. It probably won't do well. But the fact that for me, it's the idea of actually, I guess, being in it to win it. There's probably a better term than that. But it's just actually just putting something out there and enjoying it rather than getting so wrapped up in like criticalness and all of that. Actually just make stuff and enjoy it.
I actually remember I remember when you first told me about the idea, you always said you kind of wanted the ending to be a bit bittersweet in a way, where it was a bit realistic, but I also remember, and you might need to correct me on this, but the ending was slightly different, and then it was something that you guys changed a little bit later on in the process.
So
a calibration issue, is that? Sorry.
Well, it was. Are you talking about the line that we've just literally changed in the last couple of days?
No, that's nice. No, I'm talking about Jem's choice at the end.
Oh.
No,
okay.
I think you misread that. We didn't.
Okay, that was me being too
literal.
Too pessimistic then, and reading into a sadder ending, but that's how.
Probably yes.
Yeah. But maybe that is maybe that's where the confusion may come from if we haven't made that the studio thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, cool.
But that's something to take away.
Always happy to discuss narratives. It's pretty much what I do. So thank you for that. But Fringe is a great show, and fun enough, even in its current form, it coheres all the way through to the end, even if I've got a slightly different interpretation to you as the creators.
Yeah.
But also it ends in that interesting way. My corollary of the extra scene, the epilogue scene, if you like, is only how in my head I would finish it myself. The way it finishes in practice is perfectly satisfactory, and of course it does leave you those muted tones, maybe is a nice way of putting it. But I do like Act 3. I think Act 3, the surprise is so moving, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And actually, it's the carry home from the piece, oddly.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Oh, this moving, genuine piece of reality, sincerity, which has been seeded all the way through and works perfectly, and just isn't what you're expecting. The people I was with all went, oh,
I saw somebody today a little bit earlier in the line than normally people get it. I saw her put her hands over her mouth because she was because she got it almost as soon as it's very hard to talk about without actually ruining the twist. But I saw the moment that she realised, and I thought, good, you've got it. Yeah, it's been good to see people kind of having that moment of, oh, this has taken a slightly different turn in more of a real way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest moments of like reality that I think it's quite nice that we've got kind of these almost larger than life silly characters going through their own dramas and their own things, which are totally legitimate, and like it's very big for them, while you've also got this other character who's kind of woven in amongst them, who actually is dealing with something much more serious and important than any of them are dealing with, but kind of nobody quite realizes it. Yeah, it adds that level that we definitely don't get from Potty, that kind of level of sincerity that actually just makes it it makes it feel more well-rounded for
and there's a
us.
dynamic that comes out of that, which is also worth pursuing, isn't there? You know, the difference in the individual tones of the characters and things. I really enjoyed Fringe. It was a great show. It is a great show. I look forward to it moving on and developing further. But, you know, forgive me, it's a great addition to the pantheon in your increasing canon of works, if I may say. So thank you very much for bringing it up. But I did say we would go back to Potty in performance.
Oh, yes.
So this is Potty 2024, not Potty. I can't speak. Potty.
Yeah.
But not Potty in 2023. So this is this year's iteration.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you, Aidan, forgive me, because obviously you came up with the 11-minute musical quite a while ago now, it must seem.
Well, me and Baden made it in uni, so that was 2017. 16.
Yeah, but that's now getting on for a decade, isn't it? Does that feel frightening to you both?
Hello,
I was thinking about that the other day.
It's just very funny at how something we kind of winged in like wrote in like a day, that we just kind of came up with on a whim, just to pass the grade, has stuck with us for so long. And
exceeded the grade.
It's become such a integral part in like all of our lives in different ways and stuff like that. And it's just like it just got way out of hand.
And it's still going, and it's going to grow.
It is.
There was a moment where we were driving back from rehearsals, and Baden was just like, "What are we doing? Like, how did this thing turn into this?"
It's the stupidest idea ever.
Going to Fringe for the second year, spending all this money just to put it on.
But isn't it exactly like the plant at one level, oddly? I mean, because it's a very small thing to begin with, and it has grown and it has grown and it has grown. And now you've got cuttings, because Fringe is from the same family at least.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a forest waiting to be grown here. And it is from that original film. I think it's a marvellous thing. That film is still available for people to watch online as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and the show takes it and expands it. It's broader and richer and
I don't know how we will delete it after.
Yeah.
There'll be a petition with my name on it 1,000 times saying don't take it down. So it's a wonderful thing in its own right.
It's a part of the history of it.
It's a history.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
You know, in Name of Show, I'm told that the original videos of that, which have now been out for a very long time, are findable on YouTube if you still look for them. They've been taken down. Obviously, they're now buried under the mountain of material, so things do sort of disappear, but you can find them if you look for them. But in 2024... and that's why I'm starting with Aidan. You know, we've discussed the idea that it shocked. You said you're briefly in it.
Yes, so if you couldn't tell, because it is a subtle part, but I'm now the
subtle
narrator.
Is not the first word that comes to mind.
So I'm now the voice of the narrator, which, to be fair, last year was always kind of like a temporary thing that we had, because Baden was the narrator last year, and we always had this idea that maybe I'd be the narrator, or originally it was always going to be some...
There's even thoughts of actually having a narrator as a character.
Yeah, like actually physically on stage,
two minds
like a big book of Potty, and he's wearing like a full green sort of like outfit thing.
Can I just make an observation? And I've fallen into this trap myself in the past, but the problem with narrators when they actually sit on the stages, they pull focus. There's always a danger that the show becomes, even when you've crafted it well, it sort of becomes tell not show. So whilst it's okay to have an audio narrator, I certainly myself, I always think having a narrator is because someone's not done the second draft. Well, I know that's not the case with you, and I'm sure you'd find an interesting way of doing it. But there is a danger it can solidify a piece, I think.
Yeah.
But have you noticed anything different in the audience responses to this year's production? Because you have there's a very small cast change.
Yeah.
I think 2 people are different.
Yeah. We have noticed that...
Well, I'm not saying any response will be because of that, but it's a slightly different beast, I suppose, is what I'm saying. In a different venue too,
In some senses, yes. Because there are some jokes that used to go down beautifully well last year, that because of the layout of the stage this year, not everyone can always see the visual gag.
It is geographically different. I felt that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the because the audience is so much closer to us as well. I think there's some bits that
Intimate.
don't go down quite as well, but there are some bits that go down much better as well. It's also that like the change in performers means that there are different ways that they naturally perform.
Rhythms are different,
certain
aren't they?
Jokes,
Of course.
certain gags, certain lines. So there have been some things that were kind of they were tittered at last year, but weren't actually fully laughed at. That now, simply because of the natural way that one of the new performers says the line, it now gets a raucous laugh every single time. There's a lot of things that are very different. There's a lot of things that are very similar as well. The way that a lot of people respond to most of it is very much the same. But yeah, no, there are definite changes, which has been fascinating to see actually as well.
I think, but maybe it's because I'm on the stage now. The audience response seems way more heightened. I think when you came, it was quite quiet, but a lot of times we've had
this year round,
but we've had a lot of like people. But I think in the Doonstairs, I was a bit far away from the audience, so I couldn't quite. But now I'm like, because obviously I'm in a box, aren't I? But I think now I can actually like feel the audience a bit better.
And no one knows it's you. No, that can't be right.
No, it's been going down very nicely, but it has been interesting. Like there are certain ways that people that the actors have been performing things this year that will be remaining in the show from now on, because we're definitely not done developing Potty. We're not even close done.
Well, I heard this 2-act possibility.
Exactly. But we're not even done just tweaking the 1 hour long. So there's a lot of things that I think will change over time. But it's kind of one of the joys of having like creative people who are so enthusiastic about what they're doing. Is like they will naturally suggest new things and change things up and try out new things. Sometimes we have to tell them nope, sit back down, do it the way we told you. But sometimes they come out with some gems.
It's still collaborative. I like the fact that it's not yet set in stone.
Yeah.
You know, that different people bring different ideas, exactly as you say, but you have to collaborate just differently with different performers. So, and even if you had exactly the same cast, the venue, as you say, it feels very different. It felt very different to me, I must say.
Yeah.
In what way though? Is it because you feel closer to the
I did feel closer, but do you know, it's interesting. If you were to ask me, I'm actually going to give you the answer before you actually do ask me, but I'll tell you. If you were to ask me which venue I preferred, I preferred last year. And I've tried to work out why that is, and I think, the Doonstairs, which was the venue in last year, is the most theatre-like, as in proscenium arch style theatre. So the audience are in serried ranks in front, and you are on a raised stage, and we look up at you as gods.
Yep.
But, it's a very traditional experience, but also it gives you the tableau of what's going on.
Yes.
Or it certainly did from my point of view. I saw it twice last year, and I actually sat in the same place both times, but I really enjoyed that position. But I could see everything. My eye was exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah.
But also, you're just far enough away to be able to do that. And I think the difficulty of the current venue, where you're right, there's a stage with 3 sides with audience up to the edge of the stage. If you're sitting in the front row and you cross your legs, it is possible that a madman on a solitary roller skate may graze you as he goes past.
Or you might get hit by an errant shoe as it flies off during one.
That
did happen the other day.
Well, our slot got taken in the Doonstairs by end of that act.
Oh yeah. But it's interesting to see. But the difference is, sorry, I was just going to say that I was sitting speech marks in the front looking straight on, but it was a different experience, even though it's sort of the same, and it is because I'm closer, so there is that more intimacy, and you can see the beads of sweat, and you can see the smaller comedic movements and things like that, but there's also a sense that perhaps you're too close and you're missing something. That was only my experience. Other people may feel differently.
100%.
If you were to go into another venue in the future, and it were a proscenium arch, it certainly would work there, because I know it does work in that environment.
It's what we want to be.
It was simply the fact of, because of different limitations that essentially these venues had this year.
One significant building is no longer available this year, which has had a knock-on effect on all the others.
It really did. We had to really push to get the venue that we did get in the end. But obviously the one that we had last year was absolutely perfect.
It was
the
perfect,
one that we
yeah.
asked for again. But obviously because of the...
If it's gone, it's gone, isn't it? What can you do?
It was gone,
Yeah.
it was gone. And it's a bit of a shame, but what it does mean is that we've now had a chance to try reworking Potty for an entirely different shape and size and
Which is a really
way of working.
good bit of learning.
Exactly. So it means that actually, if we were to do things like a tour to some more regional theatres or things like that, we would actually be able to rework it for the spaces in those places without actually panicking about it.
Yeah, you don't have to have a proscenium arch.
Exactly, and we now know that we can rework for different entrances and exits and all
But
that kind of stuff.
for instance, like the bird gag wouldn't work on a normal stage, wouldn't it? No.
This is another show.
The little bird gag.
Oh, the bird gag. I thought you said
yeah.
the bird guy. I'm so
Bird
sorry.
Bird guy.
Yeah,
Bird
it's
guy.
a show called Bird Guy. I was
Oh, is
thinking
there?
about
Yeah.
I mean, it would just have to go to the side, but I think it would still.
Yeah, but you can't see the actual thing on the ground because it would be on a raised platform.
Oh,
anyways,
in that case,
True, but
yeah,
you would
but
rework it in a way that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
I'm
you find
thinking
one
about-
on wheels that's got a horn in it, so that when you prove what it is, it goes quack, 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 or something.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or get a giant one so it's really obvious.
Yeah, we want like
Yeah.
that beanbag texture. Because that a bird that small, it was hard to find a weight that would make it plop onto the ground.
Yeah,
Onto it.
I see. Yeah, you need to put something heavy and metal in the bottom so it makes a slapping sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
something
meaty
like
thud.
Yeah,
is what it's
the
supposed to
meaty thud.
Meaty
How many birds have you killed?
I'm an expert. But
Yeah.
it was interesting because Baden's been changing a lot of choreography so that people are standing in diagonals so that you can kind of see it from each side. But as much as we want to sell out and have a full room, which has been great, but the other downside to that is we are terrified of people seeing behind the desk, because once you see Baden...
That gag's done, isn't it then? Otherwise, yeah.
Well,
That's hard.
the seats that people have from the very sides, like closest to the curtain, must just be a completely different show, because you're seeing, as much as we've tried to make everything viewable from every side, there's only so much we can do when it comes to like dancing up front and stuff like that. So-
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. Yes. So, I mean, as always, you try new things, you discover what works, and you discover what doesn't work. And it's interesting that it has some advantages, but it also has some disadvantages.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the nature of this, isn't it?
Well, I've mentioned already that it's the Potty's had cuttings in the terms of having Fringe, but it's also had another baby in the last year, which is at last due to popular acclaim, the latest Potty album has come out, because there's the original film score available, but there's the show now available, which is the expanded, yummy, full fat.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
delicious.
it's wonderful. That's the first thing I've got to ask you is, how do people get to hear it? You know, where can the people acquire the Potty album? Because this is a show that people should hear.
It's on every streaming service you can possibly think of.
But basically, you don't have to look very hard to find
Not
it.
really.
Very good.
If you type in Potty the Plant on Spotify or anywhere, it'll pop up. You see the little green potty, and he'll guide you.
He's
to
Poppy the
something.
Plant if he pops up. Yes, right.
Poppy the Plant. Yes.
Was that because yet another thing you've done in your very, very busy year? I think it's recording the original cast from last year. Is that correct?
It is.
Yep, absolutely.
All but one.
Oh.
So one of our cast members who isn't in this iteration of the show, he messaged us, I think it was very, very early on this year, and said, hey, so I've been offered a cruise ship gig that is going to last me about a year. We begged him not to go. We tried bribing him. We sent him early versions of some of the songs for Fringe as well. We all but threatened him, but no, he left.
It's
on
too
that.
good an opportunity,
But
isn't it? Yeah.
unfortunately, he was already off on that cruise before we managed to get to a point of recording the soundtrack with him. But the hope is to do another version at some point and.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that you can improve on and stuff like that. 'Cause I'm not like a sound designer or anything like that. But I think what's came out, it's just great.
It's a really good album, really listenable. And you very kindly let us play a song song from it previously here on Musical Talk, and I enjoyed it immensely. Good. I'm very pleased that exists.
It's something, isn't it? Just it's
tangible.
Someone can actually show somebody something from it.
And it's you could listen to almost any of the songs in that show and get the tone very quickly.
Yes.
And the humour. It's built in. It's baked in. Actually. So as I say, the Potty universe. The Pooniverse? No, I'm not going there. That's a very different thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Don't look that up on your computers, anyone.
Pottyverse.
Yeah, it's Pottyverse. There we are. Yes, quite.
Yeah.
But that's it's laying down roots, but it really is growing and expanding. So what next for Fringe? What next for Potty? And I hope there are answers in the positive for both.
Yeah.
Even if you can't say what the plans are, that there are plans.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Fringe, I think what we are hoping is that we can, at the very least, try and bring it again next year.
Yeah.
Because I think we're learning an awful lot, and one of the benefits of this year is, theoretically, knock on wood again, we're not going to have quite as busy a year this year, so we will have the time to be able to really take
You're only moving
the
them once then?
Yeah, probably.
We had excluding Fringe, we had 3 major life events.
Oh,
it
yeah.
happened in a couple of months. And,
it was chaos.
it was madness.
So the idea is that we're going to be able to take that script, really work with it, work out what worked, what didn't, really do
the forensics,
some proper work on it, and so bring it back again, see if we can't get a slightly better time slot or a slightly different venue that's going to allow us to make a bit more of it. Then with Potty, the hope is that we can start getting a sort of tour of regional theatres going. We have had an offer already for a few nights in one very exciting venue, which I will not mention, and we've had somebody from another one who has also said to us, would you like to do something with us? So I think we're going to try and get that going for next year, and hopefully have it kind of culminating in another Edinburgh Fringe next year with a much better spacing and timing, hopefully.
I think we'd like to try and go for a 2-act.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works with Fringe. Maybe we have to just do 1 act for Fringe.
Yeah.
The hour for Fringe, but this little tour, I want to try and get a full.
Well, what a lot of people do is they expand it up to 2 hours, and then if they do come back to the Fringe, they do the 90-minute version, because that's not sometimes available as well. But yes. Good, this sounds absolutely marvellous, but I love the fact there's a nascent tour sort of developing, and hopefully that will, and the fact that you've got plans for it to grow and continue, because Potty is not finished here. It's very clear to me that Potty has such a future. And Fringe, I think, has got a future as well. So I'm delighted to hear that there's a very good chance that there could be a new iteration of that next year or whenever. I've got to ask, are there any other things burning at the back of your collective creative minds?
There's a lot of...
We've got about 5 or 6 things at all times, I think, as is...
I'll book a recording studio for an interview next year now, then.
It's more often than not, it's one of those things where, as creative people, we obviously...
Of course.
We get a little spark of an idea, we get very excited, we go down a road with it. We've got several things working at the moment. I think... At the moment, what we are learning with this year's Fringe is that it's very much doing 2 shows is kind of all-consuming.
It is. We're going to spread ourselves too thin.
No, so I think we'll be very, very careful if we do add anything else onto it. We'll be very careful with what that is and how much effort that's going to require.
Yeah, you've got to tend yourselves as well as your babies, as it were. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
So next year we will be bringing 4 shows.
Yeah. Just the 4 though. Yeah. But no.
All on roller skates.
Yeah. No, that's the idea though. We've always got extra ideas going. Always got things buzzing on in the background.
So, how can people find out about them? What are the best ways of contacting you? Websites, socials?
Yeah.
Whatever. What are the ways to get you all?
Well, I will defer to our social media manager. Yes.
I think our Twitter handle for Fringe the Musical is because there's another show that
called Fringe the Musical,
which has taken all of the social media handles, which is very annoying. But obviously they got there first, so we can't really blame.
Well, one's got an exclamation mark and one doesn't.
Yes,
that's the fundamental difference.
That's the fundamental difference.
So which yours doesn't?
Ours has the exclamation mark.
We are talking today about Fringe exclamation mark.
Yes,
Fringe exclamation mark the musical. But with Potty, we're on every single social you could possibly imagine.
So we are Potty the Plant official on Instagram, and then I think Potty the Plant musical on everything else.
I think it's Potty Plant, Potty the Musical on Twitter.
Potty the musical on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or X, as we call it now.
But we don't. We
Twitter.
do not call. No one calls it X.
How are Elon?
Yes. It won't be long before the name X is X.
Yes. Well, that's the hope.
And then Fringe. Actually, if you type Fringe the musical, it's
What you're looking for is the yellow background with the big picture of the woman in front of it.
And in fairness, the other show called Fringe the Musical is actually about a hairdressers.
Yes.
So it's actually a different context entirely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Completely. I think we're going to have to go and see it as well. Actually,
I think they started
have they?
Today, I think.
They're a week 2 show. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We will go and see that then.
Well, as always, can I just thank you for being so fabulous in conversation and for putting on such great shows and for being such lovely people, if you don't mind me saying. Our conversations are the longest conversations I have in Edinburgh every year, and it's always, but they feel like the shortest. They just sort of fly by.
Yeah.
So, and you are so bubbling full of creativity and comment, and it's lovely to hear you interact with each other as well. And the most exciting thing for me is the fact that there are now two shows which have got future lives, one hopes, and possibly more to come. Mm-hmm. I will always be delighted to speak to each and every one of you as the future arrives. Please do keep me in the picture, and but more than anything else, again, thank you very much indeed. You brought a great deal of pleasure to my life, and you haven't yet stopped.
Oh, thank you, Thos.
Thank you.
Thank you for enjoying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I was young, my father said to me, here's the secret to being happy. Find a husband with money to spare. Focus on beauty and brush your hair. It made me unhappy, oh so unhappy. Oh, to be happy like you. Like you, oh, like you. So when I grew up, well, I searched for him. I tried Pete, John and Kim, but they were boring, had nothing to say. They just didn't know how to make my day. They made me unhappy, oh, so unhappy. To be happy like you, like you, oh, like you. All of my life I have had a dream to see myself on the silver screen, but that was a pipe dream, it wasn't to be. So now I work here where I'm not seen. It makes me unhappy, oh, so unhappy. Oh, to be happy like you, like you. Oh, like you.
Well, if you're looking for a reason
to smile,
I'll tell you the reason.
once in a while.
It don't matter if you're big or small, I could be happy. Just to be happy. Oh, to be happy like you.
Like you.
Oh, like you.
But Potty, what is the secret to your happiness?
That's
Oh. All right. No. Well, I've been looking to find a
reason to smile
You've given me a reason.
once in a while.
Don't matter if you're big or small.
I could be happy, just to be happy. Oh, to be happy.
hear another song from Potty the Plant, sung for you by Sarah Burns. And we were talking to Sarah along with Baden and Aidan about Potty the Plant in that conversation, as well as their sister show, Fringe the Musical. And I do hope this made you think you might want to go and see it, either at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe 2025, where it returns for its third triumphant run, a hat-trick, or in London, because it's on this week. That's the 24th of June to the 28th of June at 7:30 every evening, with a matinee on Saturday the 28th at 3 p.m. It's on at the Wiltons Music Hall, such a wonderful venue, and the idea of going to see Potty the Plant in that venue and then exploring it afterwards and enjoying its many bar and sitting areas is something which I think is a really good way of spending an evening. The website for Wiltons is wiltons.org.uk, and I do hope you'll be tempted to see this excellent show. And that really does wrap up this episode for this week. Do join us again next week or whenever, and we'll be talking about something completely different. But as I said last week, there's only one real way you can close an episode which has been talking about a plant, and that of course is to say pip pip. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Pip pip, goodbye. This episode of Musical Talk edited and presented by Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2025. Except for the songs where the copyright remains with the creators. And my thanks go to Baden Jack Burns for allowing me to play his wonderful songs in this episode. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk and listen to past episodes, go along to our website www.musicaltalk.co.uk or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favourite podcasts. And follow us on all the usual social media networks.
I did see one the other day that was it was an hour and 20 minutes and I wished it wasn't.
It was an hour and 20 minutes too long, was it?
Yes.